All Saints Church is a well-known, very, very old church, and you can look in, and sometimes there's this burning candle, and sometimes it goes out while you're there.
Welcome to the Supernatural Travel Tales podcast. I'm Sharon Blumenfeld, your Woo Curious tour guide. We're exploring beyond the bucket list to talk about travel experiences that transform us. The best adventures happen when we check our baggage and open ourselves up to the unknown. You won't believe the phenomenal guests I have lined up for you, or maybe you will believe them, but you'll never know if you miss an episode. So please subscribe and check out the supernaturaltravel.com website for even more information about the people, places, and experiences shared here. Today, I'm chatting with my friend Amy Askin of Beloved Atmosphere and the Amyful podcast. And here's what happened when Amy and her summer sisters tempted a coastal Carolina spirit who's known for stealing jewelry.
So my family goes to Pawleys Island, South Carolina, which is on the coast. It's kind of like Nag's Head and that whole area in the Carolinas. And we've been going there since, my whole family's been going since my grandmother was a child. And so you grow up in Pawleys Island and coastal Carolinas with lots of spectral stories and ghost stories and things, because it's sort of their way, it's their culture to talk about why the hurricanes happen and things like this, okay? And so when I was growing up, I heard about Alice's grave. Who wants to go to Alice's grave? All the older people and older cousins would talk about it. And I thought, that sounds scary. That's creepy. So when I came of age, probably about, I was 16 or so, my friends and I, because we have the same families going year after year, staying in the same beach houses on the beach and whatever. So we were all friends growing up, summer sisters, we call each other, and friends. And so we would go and pile in the car. We'd get a big car or take two cars and go to Alice's grave. Now, Pawleys Island is unique in that it has only two causeways. You get on and off. So going there, you might see at night, the Gray Man is another one. There's another ghost who haunts the island to warn of a hurricane or a big storm coming. And you might see him going with his lantern and just saying, go, get off the island, get off the island. There's a big storm coming. Many, many people, my grandmother included, have seen the Gray Man. He goes on the beach and he'll stay on the causeway, the only road on this 4-mile island. And so we're like, so we build it all up. We all, hang out and have a good dinner and sit and go hunting for ghost crabs. And then we go in the car and go on this big adventure to Alice's grave. So I'm going to read the story because I think it's the best way to get background of my experience, okay? So Alice Flagg was born in 1833. She died in 1849. So she was only 16, 17 years old when she died. And that's kind of creepy in and of itself. Dr. Alice Flagg built the Hermitage at Murrells Inlet about 1848. By the way, I'm reading from my little book of Pawleys Island that I bought. I love this thing. It has like dog-eared pages. It's such a part of my family's history, so I just love it. So Dr. Alice Flagg Hermitage House is a big thing at Murrells Inlet, which is near Pawleys Island. His little sister Alice and their widowed mother lived there with them. In the spring of 1849, Alice was in school in Charleston, where she had fallen in love with and accepted a ring from a man in the turpentine business. She knew her family would never approve of a suitor who was not of a respected profession and worthy of her high social standing, so she concealed the ring on a ribbon around her neck. Mrs. Flagg had retreated to the mountains to escape the fevers prevalent in hot weather when Dr. Flagg received word that Alice was ill. He took a carriage to Charleston and brought her home, a frightful journey through swamp, sand, and rivers crossed by treacherous ferries. When they arrived at the Hermitage, Alice was delirious with fever, and while examining her, Dr. Flagg found the ring around her neck. He surmised its origin and impulsively threw the ring out the open window and into the ocean, is what they say. I'm adding that part because a lot of times everybody on Pawleys says, it's somewhere floating in the ocean far, far away. Alice soon died, and her body lay in state in her room. Each day, fresh gardenias from the garden were placed around her while waiting for her mother to arrive from the mountains. The journey was too long, and Alice was buried in the gardens near the house. When Mrs. Flagg arrived, she had the body transferred to the family plot at Pawleys Island, where it rests under a marble slab simply inscribed Alice. And that's at All Saints Cemetery, which is the All Saints Church is a well-known, very, very old church. And you can look in, and sometimes there's this burning candle, and sometimes it goes out while you're there.
That's reassuring.
Yeah. You're like, maybe we shouldn't be here. And everybody peeks in. You have to actually climb over a fence to get into the grave because you go at midnight. Okay. That's the ritual. There are those who believe Alice still searches for her ring at the Hermitage and in the gardens. Others say if you place a ring on her grave and walk backward around it 13 times with your eyes closed, she'll take your ring. I can't say for sure because I wouldn't risk a good ring, but I don't think she likes junk jewelry. So yeah, All Saints Cemetery is where very famous, wealthy people from the area, usually plantationers and people who are well-to-do in that area, are buried. And so her family was from a very high station. They didn't want her to marry this turpentine manufacturer, okay? And so when you go there, so our experience was we go there at midnight, and this is more than once. This happens to be the year I was engaged. And so we go there and it's midnight and we're talking about it. You know, everyone's like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. The ring didn't move, or the ring did move, or somebody saw this and somebody saw that. And it's maybe like 6 or 8 of us or something. And so you all sit, and the other trick is when you're sitting around the grave, so everybody sits with their backs to it, and you sit in, you know, like crisscross applesauce around independently, where you can lock arms or whatever, but all around with your backs. And then the walker, the person with the ring, walks around 13 times counterclockwise and closes her eyes, theoretically.
So walks around the whole group of people.
Walks around the group of people.
Sort of interlock.
So if your friend's being a dick, then they stick their leg out. He sticks his leg out and maybe you trip over it. But I wouldn't know about that because I would never do that. Anyway, there might or may not have been alcohol involved, I just say. So anyway, so we do this, and you put the ring down where nobody else can see. You say, okay, I'm placing my ring on the A. And so I did, and I put it right, you know, my name is Amy, and so I put it right in the triangle of the A. Mm-hmm. And I did my traipsing around. It takes a really long time to walk backward with your eyes closed, and you get really dizzy. But I made it. It probably took about 5 minutes or so. It's not a small grave. It's decent enough size. And so I'm going around and trying not to trip and whatever. And I'm like, you get this like willy feeling, and you're like, well, it's just because we talked it up, or, you know, it's just because everybody's like charged to be here. Yeah, no, you definitely feel something when you're in there. And so I go and we look back down, and I'm like, okay, and everybody's counting 1, 2, 3, and so on.
Is everyone's eyes closed or just yours?
Theirs are supposed to be closed as well. Who knows if they really were, because like I said, mine are closed, or like every once in a while you open them to look, but you're not supposed to look at the grave. The point is you're not looking at the grave.
And this was before Snapchat and stories. So, you know,
don't make me feel too old.
I imagine nowadays there's a lot of, you know, snapping going on as people are.
I've never thought about that. I should look at it. I'm sure there's video of people doing it.
Hashtag Alice's grave.
Right.
So anyway, back to your story.
But that's a good point. I want to see people do this and see if it's like, oh yeah. So yeah, because Alice wouldn't have any knowledge of social media. I mean, she'll still go and steal the ring, right? Sometimes, sorry, I still get a little willied because it's happened. I've done it 3 or 4 times where I saw the ring move, but when I did it, we couldn't find it. It wasn't on the Alice. It was on, I'm like, no. It wasn't on the Alice, the name Alice. I've seen it move from the A to the E. I've seen it move just a little bit. So a lot of times you're wondering, like, did my friend, like, move it? Did somebody reach behind and move it, or, like, dink it or something? Mine, we couldn't find it. And it's not well lit. There's one light in that whole area. They don't want people going in there. So it's very dimly lit, and nobody has flashlights. We don't have phones with torches on them or anything. It was way at the bottom of the grave, and we were all like trying to find it. We couldn't find my ring. So it really moved when I did it. Maybe that should have been foreshadowing for me, because that was, in fact, my first engagement, which was put off. And let me put it this way. I'm not married to the person who gave me that ring.
But did he work in the turpentine industry?
No, he worked in finance, even worse. No, But yeah, it had moved from the A all the way down to the bottom of the grave. It was still on the grave, but very nearly off. and we couldn't find it. And so people started running. They're like, to heck with that, I'm out of here. They started running. One guy jumped over leapt over the fence. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. So yeah, it was a real experience for sure.
So tell me, when this happened to you, did it really rock your world? Did you feel like different afterwards? Did you have any kind of a revelation? Or had you already seen it before? You said you had seen it
before, but when it happens to you and it's your stuff, you're like, well, somebody moved it, blah, blah. But when it's you and you're doing it, you're like, I know I didn't look. I watched, I know everybody there was honest and they didn't move it. You know what I mean? They still could have, but I didn't see it or feel that sense of things. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a feeling of, and I've been in spectral places before where you feel, or places where there are ghosts. And it was that feeling of, it moves through you. I don't know how to say, it's an overwhelming feeling, like in Edinburgh, when you're in Edinburgh and you can feel the magic.
Something.
Yeah. It's like everything's charged and it's like, it's like that. Definitely.
So
and then the lights, the lights going in and out and stuff in the mausoleum and everything. It's just,
So this is something you're no stranger to, though. You've felt that feeling before, and you've probably felt that feeling since.
Probably since I was a kid. I just didn't know that's what it was. And I kind of tried to push it away, or just thought it was me being a weirdo, because I am kind of a weirdo. Am I a weirdo, or is everybody else just dumb? I like to tell myself the latter. But yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I had felt it before, and I've now tapped into it, and so I feel it more. I don't know if it's good. I can't delineate between good spirits and bad spirits. I definitely don't know if I can do that. But I feel like Alice is just a forlorn teenager who died from heart sickness. She's just looking for her lost love and just trying to figure out where her ring is. She was 17, So it's a bit of a sad story, but interesting nevertheless,
Did you ever perform a ghostly ritual like this when you were a kid? Are ghost stories and legends a draw for you when you travel? I know that I'd love to go and see Alice's grave now. I just don't know that I have any jewelry that I'm willing to sacrifice for an angry teenage ghost. Just another reminder to make sure you're subscribed. Next week, we're talking to Tracy Clark about the angel on her shoulder, or more accurately, the angel in the next lane. Thanks again to my friend Amy. She's got some of the best stories. And check out her podcast at Amyful. And many thanks to you for listening. If you want to get in touch with me, share a thought, or make a suggestion for a future episode, just tweet me at SupernatTravel. You can also leave me a comment on supernaturaltravel.com or on the Supernatural Travel Facebook page. And over on Instagram, you can find us at Supernatural Travel. We love to see your blue orbs and meet your spirit animals, so please tag me and use hashtag #supernaturaltravel so I can find you. And that's it. Till next time, sleep tight. Don't let the vampires bite. And when the going gets interesting, I totally want to hear about it.